Hey guys, Chris Cucoch here from Royal LePage Signature. Today I had the absolute pleasure of interviewing Jas Takhar from the Rec team, which is the #1 Royal LePage team across all of Canada. This guy is an absolute monster when it comes to all things content creation and entrepreneurship. There's a ton of value in here for everybody, not just about real estate, but about business and content creation in general. I hope you like it, and we'll see you in the next one.
Yeah. I'm putting it natively up into Facebook, and then I'm writing a blog on the conversation. And then out of the blog, there should be 3-4 paragraphs that are just captions that I just throw up, writing, no images, no video, no nothing, on Facebook and LinkedIn. We're probably at 15, if not even more. And I haven't even really thought it through yet. That's just kind of clockwork.
That's pretty cool. That's it's very Gary V. I hear Gary V coming out of your mouth when you talk.
So here's the thing. Here's the cool thing. I saw a bird just fly down my house. That was kind of neat. I haven't seen that one. The biggest thing that I think I did was execution on that model.
Yeah.
So I never heard, like, once I heard it, it wasn't like, okay, I'm going to retain it and I'll try some of it. No, it was like I went all in. Yeah. All in, guns a-blazing, for lack of a better word, and said, this is what I'm going to do. Yeah. And it's going to replace, for me personally, in my personal business, like I have a team with my business partner of 25 realtors, right? And so that's the traditional real estate. I generally work only with investors. But I said, it's going to replace my just listed, just sold, farming, cold calling, open houses, all that, which is very, very important because that's prospecting. Yeah. I'm gonna go all in and everything into branding, and then hopefully becoming the authority. And as I started to think it through, then momentum happens, right? You start to like, I'm talking to you now. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like that. Last week I was on 4 podcasts. A girl from Saudi Arabia, a guy from Portugal. I have one coming up with a guy in UK. I have another one coming up with somebody in Nigeria. I think, like, it's taking me all over the place, right? So that's what starts to happen over time. Yeah,
it's really interesting how it started to snowball. How long would you say you've been all in on this? Is like a little over a year or 18 months, maybe?
I'm going to say 18 to 24. So 24 is when the podcast started, 24 months. Mm-hmm. Exactly 24 months this month, April. Nice. And 18 months. Yeah, I think it's safe to say 16 to 18 months on the model of micro contenting and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And so every dollar that comes in for me, man, goes right back into the business, and I just hire more and more people. So I got a full-time videographer, part-time videographer, but I copywriter. I have a cartoonist now, and I'm not paying her. I'm not paying. She's an intern. I can help you through, like, get some hacks as well, in terms of, you don't need to pay everyone right away, and you don't need to pay them full-time salaries either. In fact, I had majority of my guys actually everyone that started on my team either started as an intern or as part-time. You have to kind of work your way up, right?
Yeah, I had made my first hire this year actually too, but it's
what was that?
The part-time assistant. Yeah.
Good.
Part-time.
Man, excuse me, I've been getting the question a lot. Like, who's the first? Like, what's the first thing I should do, even as a new agent assistant?
Yeah, it really takes so much off your plate and gives me so much time to do other things, right?
Chris, I don't have an authenticator, dude.
No,
like, I don't even log on. I don't know how to log on to MLS anymore. Legit, I don't know how to. Why should I?
Yeah.
Or because somebody else is gonna. I'm the best CMA puller in the world.
Yeah.
Nobody can print a listing better than Jas. Like, really?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? What am I touching listing papers for? For what? It makes no sense. It's not my expertise, right?
Yeah.
And so the
as soon as I hired him, I was just like, look, I don't ever want to touch paper. Like, I'm gonna go sign up a listing. I'm gonna drop it on your desk, and you're gonna take it.
100%. I love that, my man. I love that. In fact, it's how I've been able to scale everything else. So, like, Luke, for example, my assistant, who will handle a lot of that as well, like the paperwork, listings, CMAs, all that kind of stuff. But he also reaches out to 5 people. That's why you and I are talking now, obviously. He'll reach out to 5 people a day for me to be on podcasts.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I have my copywriter who's not busy all the time when I started to watch what was happening with time. And so he reaches out to 5 people to bring them on as guests.
Nice.
And then on top of that, every night I DM at least 10 to 15 people, just asking them to get on.
Yeah. So you've done a lot then. You've done a lot of podcasts. I know I've seen you on Gary V's. I'm not sure where else I've seen you, but I know I've seen you in a few other places.
Yeah. I don't know if they're like big names like that, but it's just been all like, I can't even remember now. I've at least done in 2019, I was on 25 of them. And so my goal, my target, the objective for 2020 was for me to double that. I was like, let's just see if I can double it. And I think it's safe to say I've done 20 to 25 already. COVID actually helped with that because then everybody started getting on it. And I was like, this is going to be awesome. Like, I know content creators need content, you know what I mean? And so that was easy. Who are kind of your listeners and stuff? And what are we going to be like? Is there a way? Is it just you and I having a conversation? I mean, I always say the best thing you did, as I see recording on my screen, is press record as early as possible, because that's the podcast already. You know what I mean?
Yeah. As soon as you started talking, I was like, I better just click record.
That's the way I learned that a long time ago, man. The second we get on, actually, just as a hack for you, press record right away, because the juice comes out right at the start with guests, man.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, I said to Luke when he messaged me, I'm like, I don't know if this is what you guys are looking for or not. Like, I'm another realtor in your office. And he's like, no, it's cool. Let's do it. And I'm like, I'm down. And I'm like, I'm happy to have Jas come on and talk about whatever Jas wants to talk about. I'm just happy to have someone. But
man. Look, go ahead. No, it's
my content is like Mississauga and GTA West kind of centric, where I'm talking about real estate and then I'm interviewing like business people and things like that.
Smart.
I've really been trying to turn it like more community centric than real estate centric as much as I can. I think I was like, when I started doing this, way too real estate heavy and not enough like community and personal and, you know, talking about market stats all the time because it's comfortable, right? So I'm trying to open that up.
Yeah, man. I mean, my first 17 episodes was all real estate content. I got bored of it. Personally, I was like, I'm done with this, man. Like, I don't want to. How many times am I going to talk about you need a home inspector and what they should look for and a mortgage broker and real estate stats, all that, right? I was like, my real, true passion is helping people build out investment portfolios, okay, as well as watching and learning about business and entrepreneurship and leadership, because I don't have a formal education. So all my education came from personal education, books, seminars, workshops, audiobooks, and then now recently, obviously, podcasts. And I said, look, I'm going to allow everyone else to kind of be a fly on the wall while I'm learning.
Yeah.
So that I'm just going to have conversations with people and it's going to, you know, hopefully somebody who's watching or listening picks up on something. But I know that selfishly, I'm learning still, right? And then it became, you know, the podcast kind of took a life on its own. It's a little bit more structured per se. Like, we come out every Wednesday and there's editing, not editing on what kind of happens, just like B-reel that we add and stuff. I like to keep it very, very authentic. And then so every night I started Nightcap with Jas live on Instagram. I've been doing that for 3 weeks, Monday to Friday, every single night, 9 p.m. And I just shoot the breeze, man. I have a glass of wine, I have a scotch or whatever. And it's nice, right? Like whatever's on my mind. I bring guests on tonight. I'm actually going to have Phil Soper on. Him and I were just DMing each other. And I was like, he's been on the podcast a few times. I'm like, Phil, come on, man. Like, have a drink with me. Every time we always meet up, like, we're always businessy. Let's just have a drink with each other tonight. And he's like, yeah, for sure. And so that'll be interesting.
That'll be fun, actually.
Yeah, for sure. My nightcaps are something that I'm very, very excited about. I'm a child in that sense too, right, Chris? Like, it's the new toy for me right now. And so
I think a lot of us are the same way, right? I mean, we do a lot of the same things over and over again. It's always nice to get to do something new, that shiny
100%. Yeah, because nightcap, it's not like where the podcast is. It's a little bit more like REC. That's the brand that I'm trying to build. You know, I got a business partner. I got to make sure that, okay, like, I don't want to cross too many lines and stuff like that. Where Nightcap with Jas, man, you'll hear an F-bomb here. You'll hear this. You'll hear that. I go off on whatever I want to go off on, whatever I'm in the mood for. And it's generally because somebody will always ask, like, well, where do you get the content from? Like, what do you think about? Like, where does it come from? A question that somebody gave me during the day.
Yeah.
So already I spoke to a client, and it was more of a real estate question about development charges on a pre-construction. I was like,
Right.
you know what, I just put that in the back of my mind. Then somebody asked me about what an assignment is. I was like, okay, good. I'm going to put that in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
And I got a virtual office set up with our whole team, like the admin staff / media squad.
Yeah.
That like I just was in there now, and then Luke was like, Jas, you got a minute, go. And I was like, okay, boom, I come into this Zoom meeting now. After we're done, I go back there. I spend all day, like 9 to 6, jumping back and forth.
Nice.
And there's 2-3 things that came out of there today. Like we were just talking about being patient in life in general. And I was like, okay, maybe I'll talk about that tonight. So the content is everywhere. It's just a matter of you letting it register in the brain.
You got to take your time, actually write it down, or really concentrate on, oh, hey, that would be a piece of content. I think once you start looking for it, you see that it's all over the place, right?
It's all over the place. Like I got so many ideas from a content perspective. It's now gone to the other extreme. Everything is content, man. Everything is content that I think about. So I think anybody who wants to produce content, and to you as well, Chris, having the patience, right? Like a year and a half for me is nothing yet. Like I've not even scratched the tip of the iceberg in terms of growth and notoriety, and people know, like all that. I'm nowhere on the map. No, in all honesty, right? And I also know that I can be so much better as a content creator, and that excites me. And I think that's going to take me a good 4 to 5 more years of this. But I'm so bought into it. Like this is life now to me. It's just what I do, right? Yeah. And so where I feel a lot of people get stuck is even like after they get started. Getting started is obviously the first and foremost. Like people just are worried about getting started. But when they do, it's like, shit, I'm not getting the results. I'm not getting the results. I'm not getting the results. It will come. It just comes in time. It just takes time. It takes time. Just implement though every single day and do everything quickly. Like don't overthink it. Don't overthink it, man. And to kind of prove a point last night, it's actually become one of my more engaging posts on Instagram of recent. I literally was just taking a drive. I stopped off at A&W because it's my favorite root beer. And I picked up, and I was drinking, and I was like, you know what, I got a brunch with REC webinar coming up. We do one every Saturday where we just invite all of our clients. We get 300-400 people watching kind of a live webinar. But I was like, you know what, I've been telling a lot. I was on Signature Lives training. And Chris was asking me, like, what kind of content, or Sam, somebody asked the question. I'm like, anything you're passionate about. My favorite pop is root beer as a kid. And all my friends hated it. So I got to always drink it by myself. Didn't have to share it. Maybe that has something to do with it. But I shot a video about, hey, what's your favorite root beer if you're a root beer drinker, or what's your favorite pop? And then just went, like comments.
It's amazing the stuff that connects. And it's never market stats, right? We spend all this time making this professional comment or content. You know how you get those Instagram top 9 things? My top post last year, when I didn't know until I pulled the top 9 thing, was a picture of my friggin' shoes. I had polished all my shoes, and I was just being silly, and I took a picture, and it was like #brown shoes, blue laces, like just being silly. And
love it. See, like, but most people be like, that's so stupid, and I can't let my community, not see me all real estate-y. You know what I mean? Like, no, they don't want to see that. They want to get to know Chris. They want to get to know Jas. Like, they're not buying from you because, you have the best stats. We all have those. You have nothing. That's nothing different and unique. What's unique is you. Yeah. You're the unique person, not your stats or how you articulate the stats. Big deal. You know what I mean? It's nothing. It's nothing unique.
I've really bought in over the last maybe 6 months or so of really trying to redirect to like just being about me as opposed to being about real estate, and like just some like real estate reminders dropped in there from time to time. Like, oh yeah, I still do this. You know what I mean?
And look, I mean, I get it a lot now where somebody will DM me and they'll be like, so Jas, are you a coach? Like, can I hire you either for like real estate investing?
Yeah.
Real estate sales, because my background is 25 years of sales and service. Like, and I mean like paperboy to shoe sales to the bank, car sales, and then real estate 15 years. So I've got up I've really taken the steps on the ladder, right? So there's a lot of experience there. I kind of know what to do in sales, what not to do, what to say, what not to say, when to say it, when not to say, kind of thing. Like I can give a lot of tactics from that perspective. So some of my content is that as well. I talk to advisors and salespeople and business owners and entrepreneurs. And so people say, are you a salesperson? I mean, sorry, are you like a sales coach, like a Mike Ferry and all these guys' names, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I'm not. But they do the digital deep dive themselves. They figure out, oh, this guy's really a real estate bro.
Yeah.
And sometimes, you know, I laughed with my team when we started this. I was like, there's gonna be a point in time nobody's gonna know what the heck I do. And we're kind of like now every week for sure, if not twice, I'll get a DM, a text, or an email that I forward to my team, or live like in the studio. And even at Shops at Don Mills, they're walking into the Royal LePage office. Like, what do you do here? You know what I mean? And I told my team, I was like, once we get there, that's going to be a great place to be at. Why?
Yeah.
Because I'm just providing enough value there, and I'm doing everything for free. So it's why I think I'm going to be very, very deadly in 4 to 5 years, because I'm not charging for any of this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I got a book that I'm writing as we speak, will come out in about 10, 11 months. I'm going to shoot out. I'm going to say, Chris, man, do me a favor. If I've given you any value, you down to spend $19.99, like $20 and get me a book, get my book? And you're going to say yes or no. And I don't care if you do or if you don't. I'm not doing this podcast. Like, I'm not having a discussion with you for you to buy a book from me in a year, but I might charge $19, $20. I hope I brought you that much value. And if I didn't, that's good. That's a good insight for me. Like, shit, I didn't even bring him that much value. Right. But everything else I'm not charging for. So everyone who's out there charging, like, I think that's where I think I'm going to be different. I'm going to be a little bit more deadlier because I'm giving it all for free. I'm giving it all for free. We wrote a book, Chris, on, and just reach out to Luke and say, Luke, man, can I get Jas's real estate book? It's called Real Estate Intelligence. We teach people, okay, the public, on how to buy by themselves, how to sell by themselves, and how to invest by themselves. Like, literally, we say you don't need a real estate agent. Here's the chapter. Because the truth is, they don't need us. They don't. We provide value, but they don't need us.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So for us, I was like, okay, this is like, everyone's worried about, and so realtors even in our office would be like, what are you doing? You're writing a book on teaching people how to sell real estate? Yeah, because I know only 2% of people will actually ever do it. The national statistic is 2% people sell their home privately, buy a home privately, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Why are we all concerned about
You probably don't want that guy anyway.
Exactly. I'm not wasting his time, and he's not wasting my time. It's the 98% of people that are like, holy crap, you got a book? Yeah, I got a book. Take a look at it. And if you want to do it by yourself or use your cousin Charlie, no problem, man. I hope that there's some value in there. And if you don't have a family realtor or a friend in the business, reach out to us. We would love to help you out. That's actually got me probably more business than anything else, because that's like our business card. Like, I don't even have business cards. If you come to the office, I have no cards. I just give books away. Right? Like, it's so much more, in my opinion, so much more valuable. But yeah, I think if you find out that you can give all the value up front, you'll get enough business, man. You'll get more than you ever needed.
For sure. I totally agree with what you're talking about there. I'm going to check out the book for sure. Can you tell me a little bit about the book that you're working on now?
Yeah, for sure, man. It's titled "Removing Friction." To get how to get out of your own way is kind of my working subtitle. I'm playing with getting out of, and I don't know if you can say it, but getting the F out of your own way. I'm not sure if I'm gonna go down that path. I mean, I do have young kids, and I actually want this book to be in schools, so I probably won't go down that path. So
you may have to leave the F out of it if you want it to go to schools, right?
Yeah, right. So it's removing friction, getting out of your own way, and for me, over the last 25 years of experience that I've had in life, personally, I've learned some things, right? And a lot of it, and I've watched other people, and most of the time, man, it's people are just in their own way. They're in their own head. It's the noise in their head. I talk a lot about like shutting out the noise. Don't let and sometimes it's your father, your mother, but most of the time it's just yourself. You're down on yourself. You beat yourself up too much. You're scared to ask for a mentor. I believe in mentors a lot because I had two amazing mentors that changed the course of my life. Legit, right? And one guy took me under his wing when I was 20 years old, and he had him in my life for 3 years. His company, they run, it's actually in Brampton. They have like 9, 10, 11 dealerships. All their dealerships are number one in the country. It's the Polycaro Group. And there's 3 brothers, but I had one of the brothers who took me under his wing. Like took me treated me like a son for 3 years. And then I got into real estate, and I met a guy, Simon, who took me under his wing for 13 years. He passed away a couple of years ago. That tragedy in itself taught me a lot about myself, because it was the first time I was ever going to quit. Because in a very short period of time, I lost him, and then we lost a lot because he was the face of the company. He would be sitting here with you, not me, and or maybe you and I would be sitting in a different in a different way. We'd be having this conversation in a different way, but he was really the face of the company. And in that same 30-day period, we lost a lot of our major clients as well. And that's when I was like, I'm done. Like, I don't want this. I don't need this anymore. I just lost not only my mentor, not only my business partner. I still have another business partner, Simos, but at that time there was 3 of us, but I lost my big brother, my like one of my closest friends. I spent 13 years with him, day in, day out, 10, 11 hours a day. And then we lost our clients. So I was down, got kicked a few times. And then within that same breath, like, I was like, that's not going to happen. Like, this is your story. This is part of all the tools that I have in my toolbox. It's time to use them now. And that's when I got out of my own way. And that's when a lot of things kind of changed. And I just said, I'm going to do this.
Pieces started falling into place.
Pieces started to fall into place. But then I got on stage, because he was always on stage, 30 days later, and bombed. Like, it was bad. Like, my team and my partner was with, Simos was with, we were both on stage together. But a couple of the team members came to me and they said, we might be in trouble if you two are like that. You know what I mean? But I took that as, no, that was supposed to happen, because now I can build on that. And then I just started building on top of it. And now the book is just going to talk a lot about, it's kind of broken up into 2 parts, where there's mindset, but that's one part of it. You know, mindset's very, very important. Some would say mindset's everything. I don't believe that it's everything. It's a big chunk of it. You need the tactics. You need, what do you do? How do you do it? You know? And so the book's going to be talking from those 2 perspectives.
Interesting. Yeah, I think it's supposed to be bad at first, right? Like somewhat of a mentor of mine used to say, or still says, that when you start producing something, whatever it is, your taste is going to be better than your ability to create for a while. And you need to be okay with that. And like, when I always try to pass on to anybody that's like, oh, video, or, oh, I don't like the stuff I'm putting out. And I'm like, go back and watch my first video. It's terrible. Yeah. I got like funny shadows, and I'm like popping around the frame because I didn't know to stay in one place. Go back and watch it. But I posted it. I learned from it. And every time I get a little bit better. And those small incremental increases over time really tend to add up, right?
For sure. I mean, just from the content, like what you're talking, just to add to that, like, I have videographers and graphic designers that are very, like, my videographer, when he first joined me, was very nitpicky on what he put out. Understandably so, like, it's his work. I get that.
Yeah.
I'm like that when I'm with a client. Like, I want it a certain way. You know, I'm very flexible, but so I get where that was coming from. So it took me about 6 to 9 months. My graphic designer, same thing. He's like, Jas, it's my work. I go, I understand. But we need to do it faster. And the reason we need to do it faster is because the more that we pump out, the more feedback that we get. And then that's how we're going to get better. You know, and so that's where we went to. I do probably about 20 to 25, pieces of content daily on all the platforms. Daily. Yeah, 20 to 25 daily. So it's the other thing that I just started. I think I started January 1st. This year, is now I take also the full, so I come out with a podcast episode, like a show every week, every Wednesday, but I also come out with daily clips now, which are just clips from the podcast, from all the episodes I ever did. So now I'm like, no matter what, on iTunes, Spotify, on any of those podcast platforms, you're going to hear a 2 to 6 minute clip. Very quick. It's kind of made for while you're driving or when you get up in the morning. I'm hoping that's that first like thing that you hear to get you started, you know? And so,
yeah, I agree with that. I think that's where we're going too, is the more audio, right? I mean, I know I've heard Gary talk about like people are going to have an Alexa in every room, and you're going to get up and be brushing your teeth and be like, Alexa, tell me the news, or Alexa, play the rec team's last clip from the podcast, kind of thing, right?
Well, look, I mean, I get into this virtual office first thing in the morning, and I say to Luke, Luke, what's my day like? Like, I don't look at my calendar anymore, but that's going to replace Luke. Yeah. Because as I brush my teeth, it's going to be like Google, tell me. We already have one in the office. It's just left at the office. I never brought it home because my kids were going nuts. Like, what's Hulk's real name? And they'll say Bruce Banner. And I'm like, my kids were going nuts with that kind of thing. You know what I mean? Which, you know, there's a lot of positives in all honesty, but it was just being silly. Like, what's underwear? And like, they're just actually silly things, right? And so I took it out of the house. But first thing in the morning, it's just going to be like Google. What's my schedule like, right? And so I definitely, you see it with video. Like personally, I probably have on the background, if even while I'm just kind of working on my phone, I don't have a computer, I do everything from my phone, but I have my TV running a YouTube a video, like a podcast of somebody, like maybe the Joe Rogan, for example. I like his style.
I like his stuff too.
I probably, if it's an hour video, I probably give him 2 minutes of my eyes collectively throughout. Yeah. 98% of it is all done. I'm just listening. It's just on in the background, right?
Right.
And I hear it all the time. They're like, Jas, no, I don't really, I do go to YouTube, but I don't see you. I just have it on. And I'm cooking, I'm cleaning, you know, like my wife's just doing some organization now at home here, and she has the headsets on and she's just doing her thing, you know? I don't know if she's listening to music. There's no way she's listening to my podcast. She's tired of my voice, that's for sure. But
anything but jazz, right?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, Chris. Like audio's where it's going because of time. We just, we want to buy back our time, right?
Right. And it's easier to listen to something like that in the car. Where I don't know about you, I spend a lot of my day driving around, and I mean.
Well, I do an hour and 10 minutes
to the.
Yeah, man. I mean, look, I love that you mentioned that, because anybody who's watching or listening to this recording right now, I hope you apply. You know, I call it NET, N-E-T, no extra time. You're driving. You don't need extra time to get the podcast in. Do it at the same time. And it doesn't need to be a podcast. Obviously, we're podcasters, and we're a little biased. We like people listening not only to our podcast but other podcasts, right? But it could just be an audiobook. Go on audible.com, guys. It's $9.99, like $10 a month, and I think you get like 2 books a month. You know, just think about it. The average person in the Greater Toronto area, in their lives, will be driving equivalent to what a student spends to get a 4-year degree in university. Yeah. Right? How much time are we letting go while we're sitting in the car? And so that's not, you know, everyone always says, I don't have enough time. You do. You just need to find out where you can double up on it and apply the habit of net.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. I'm always on some kind of podcast or something in the car. For me, I had to stop with Audible because I found I'd get halfway through the book and I didn't retain half of what I heard when I was driving. But for some reason with podcasts, that's not the case. I retain everything. But if I listen to the book, I don't retain half of it. So I buy the book and then I listen to the podcast in the car.
That's awesome. I like that. I like that style. Look, man, what's very important with what you just said there is you getting out of your own way, right? With what we were talking about earlier, like you figured it out. Like you're like, okay, you know what? I'm not retaining it as much, but I'll pick up the book, but I'll still apply something else with that time. And so that's important, man. Again, for anybody who's watching or listening, like don't give up, like figure it out. What works best for you.
What are you listening to in the car right now?
Right now, I'm a podcast guy. I just finished a book, David McCourt, Total Rethink. This guy, a lot of people will know the show Reading Rainbow. He was one of the executive producers on that show. He's won a couple of Emmys, but what he really did was revolutionize the telecom industry in the late 70s, early 80s. He's in the billions now, net worth. Just an amazing guy. I had him on the podcast actually, but that's not a shameless plug for it. His book is awesome. Don't even listen to the podcast with me. Go get his book, Total Rethink. It really, it's just a different way to look at things. And, I was talking to him on DM a couple of days ago, and I was like, funny enough, like, he just came out with this book called Total Rethink. And then we go into COVID where everybody's in a total, like, you need to rethink a lot of things right now, right?
Okay.
Personally, business, all that. And so
life has really changed for a lot of people.
Yeah. And he came out with this book like at the start of the year. And it's timely, very, very timely. So finished his book, and then podcasts. I usually probably first thing in the morning, in the car, I probably consume Gary's podcast first and foremost. Because I like the quick hits that come out of that. And it just gets me kind of thinking about content, and I'm kind of in my own world. If anything about COVID, I miss driving. Like, even with the traffic in Toronto, and like, I know it's like I go from Brampton to Don Mills, so it's all. I zip down the 407, but then the DVP is a mess for me to get to shops at Don Mills. But I miss it. I miss the driving. Like, I really, really do. It's my own time, especially when I'm coming back.
It's like, it's my quiet time to not have anybody around and the phone going off.
Yeah. It's funny. On my way in the morning, I like to listen to a podcast. On the way back in the evening, I listen to nothing. I need the quietness. I need to kind of just think through what happened in the day. What am I trying to attack the next day? And then it's just some wind down time for me, just me by myself. When I'm at the office, it's my doors are open at all times, and it's kind of the death of a 1,000 Jas You Got a Minutes. I love it. It's what I want to do, but then it starts to cut away at your time, right? But you're always putting out fires with the client business, right? You're always kind of putting out fires. There's always something happening with one of the deals you're trying to get closed. And then my support staff, there's 5 support staff: admins, assistants, director of sales and marketing, director of real estate concierge services, and then the media squad. And everything is like, hey, Jas. And so I need that time by myself for a bit. Just to kind of turn it off. Yeah, it's hard, right? Like, on the way, as much as I say I try to turn it off, I mean, once I get home, I'm out. Like, now I'm done. Like, it's funny with my wife, she'll try to get me at the front door to go out somewhere, rather than, because she knows once I get home and
you get on the couch, you're not getting off the couch,
No, I'm done. I'm snoring, I'm loud, I'm obnoxious, I'm sure. And I wake up to her saying, like, get up, go upstairs. You know what I mean? Because I'm just exhausted. I'm going to give everything. So this podcast right now, this discussion we're having right now, it's going to be right throughout the day, right till, I used to say right till 9 o'clock. Now it's till 10 o'clock on weeknights because of the nightcap with Jas. I go for 1 extra hour now, bringing as much energy as I possibly can. But I'm having fun with that one. Like, that one, I get to have a drink. That really, I get to wind down. And I just, sometimes I have 20 people on it. Sometimes I have 100 people on it. And I don't really care how many people are there. I'm just really having fun, shooting the breeze with people there. I bring people on live. Some days I just go on a rant or it's my soliloquy, for example. But other than that, then 10 o'clock, I reply back to some DMs. 11 o'clock, I'm done, man. I'm out. I've given everything I had for the day.
So it's interesting that you mentioned that when you drive home, you like to turn it off. Because I found I had a streak where I was going for a while where no matter what I was doing, I always had like a podcast or a book or something going on. And I found myself getting burnt out fast. Where, like, after a couple of weeks of that, I'm like, I don't want to listen to this anymore. Like, I just want to. And I found that if I took part of the day and was like, I'm just going to leave music or I'm going to leave silence, and it just sort of, I don't know if it just let my brain slow down for a little bit or what, but it was easier.
Yeah, I think again, what's really important that you're very, like, you have the ability to self-reflect. So kudos to you, my man, because you've mentioned couple of times that, like, how you were able to kind of you were going through something, self-reflection happened, and then you made a change.
This
So that's
isn't working.
awesome,
Let's
man.
figure out why
That's
and how we can make it
awesome.
better. Right?
That's really, really good, man. Yeah, I think you do need to at least not have the noise. And I don't mean the negative noise, but even just something always kind of going on. Let your brain now put out more questions. For me, that helps, right? That drive home. I'm asking a lot of questions more than anything else, because I truly believe your brain's like a computer. It was Google. It's Google before Google. Like, you ask your brain questions. Its actual job is to find you answers. It's why we have something in our brain called the RAS, the RAS, the reticular activator system. It's when you buy a red Jaguar and you've never seen that Jaguar in your life before. Now you see 57 of them. It's why pregnant women see, they weren't seeing all these pregnant women before. Now when they got pregnant, they see pregnant women everywhere. It's not that they just showed up at the same month that you got pregnant. It's just that your brain now starts to look for that. And how do you activate the reticular activator system in the brain? Ask it questions. And so that's my evening kind of like just asking questions. Hey, how could I be better here in this situation? How could I have done something a little bit better? The question that for me, what starts it in the morning, every single morning, it's the same question. Been like that for years now, at least a decade. How can I bring the most value to somebody? And then my brain's job throughout the day is to find it. Like, you came into my life today, and somebody's gonna hear me or listen to me. They're gonna make a decision about it. They're gonna say, this guy's full of bullshit, forget him. Or, because the bullshit detectors come up, A, or B, you know what, let me do a little bit more of a digital deep dive on this guy. I kind of like his, and boom, hopefully I brought somebody value.
Yeah, for sure. That's how I started with Gary Vee. I saw him, and like the first time I saw Gary Vee, I didn't like him. I was like, this guy swears too much and he's very abrasive. And then I started watching a little bit more of his content, and it's like, okay, he's not putting on a show. This is just the way this guy talks. And it's just sort of over time, I'm like, okay, no, I really like what he has to say, right?
Yeah, man. Look, I mean, I spoke about mentors, the two really in my life that changed the course of my life. Gary's somebody, a mentor from afar. He's legit, definitely in that bucket for me. And I'm a strong believer of imitation, assimilation, and innovation. And so to get started, find out what you like, use it, then start to use it, assimilate it, and then innovate, then start making changes. Like in our business, I think the biggest mistake people make is I need to change the color or the font of a flyer. For what reason? The font and the color that was given to you will do the job. Just use it. Oh no, I want my picture slightly bigger. I want my picture on it, which is to me still just a little bit of a pet peeve.
I came from commercial, man. My picture doesn't go on anything.
Doesn't make sense, right?
My buddies that I used to do commercial with, and it's been 4 years, and I still get calls like, "Hey, did you get your picture on your business card yet?" And no, it's not coming. Don't worry.
Yeah. Look, I mean, you have a lot of space. You have a lot of opportunity for people to see you, hear you, and watch you on socials, right? I think the business card is a space that just keep it nice and simple. In fact, less is more, in my opinion. If we didn't have Rico watching us to make sure you had stuff, it would literally be Jas Takhar, and here's my phone number. Done. Want to get a hold of me, get a hold of me. As I mentioned earlier, I don't really have any cards right now because I ask people for their cards. Hey, what's your contact info? Because I know if you give me your contact info, I'm going to put it in a place where I'm not going to lose it. I might give you my card, and you'll use it to pick your teeth or whatever. But if I collect your card, then I know it's now something that I won't make. I won't lose, and now I have the ability to follow up.
Right. Yeah,
right. And so I think that's where REC in general, our team is really different. We consistently follow. It's the boring stuff we do. It looks like we do a lot of exciting stuff in the forefront, but it's really the boring stuff that happens in the back end that produces anything for us. In fact, that's the other topic. And it's talking about repurposing. That's what I'll be talking about Nightcap with Jas before I get Phil on. I go for 15 minutes on my own, 10, 15 minutes. And it's the boring stuff. It's if you want to lose weight, right? We know what to do. We know what to do. We make it all weird and just exercise and eat less, man. You know what I mean? Same thing in sales.
Stop having chips before bed. Yeah, figure it out.
Right? Sales is just follow up. You just got to follow up. That's all you got to do. People will do business with you because you're the one that's always there and calling and checking up. But nobody wants to do that. Everybody wants the flyer or the email that is like the blue magic pill in Matrix. You know what I mean?
That's because it's safe, though. It's easy to send out a flyer. It's a little bit scarier to get on the phone or get in front of people, and it's safe and it's easy to send an email, which is kind of a crappy contact, right? I mean, I would rather be face to face with anybody. It's interesting what you're saying about everybody wanting to make everything their own too, right? Like, you don't need to reinvent the wheel in our business. I stole my referral plan, my database plan. I stole my listing presentation. I stole my buyer presentation. Over time, it's become a little bit more my own, but like, why reinvent the wheel? There's so much out there that's already been done by really smart people. Like,
especially when you're starting out, just get started. The easiest way to get started is just to imitate someone or something that's been already working, right? Rather than trying to spend so much. Go ahead.
My whole operations, a colleague of mine at West gave me his checklists, like his action plans. And I just started with that. Over time, it became mine, but I'm like, okay, when I get a new buyer, I'm going to do these things. When I get a new seller, I'm going to do these. That's it.
Rather than what a lot of, like, opposed to what a lot of people do is go home and say, okay, I'm going to spend the next 30 days figuring out my own little system. And then they get stuck in ready, aim, firing, right? I have a sign in my studio that says ready, fire, aim. Just start shooting. You'll hit the target actually faster because then you can readjust. Did you go too far to the left? Did you go too far to the right? Rather than just sitting there and
you don't
waiting.
Know if you're going to miss when you shoot that. Like, you can't make it perfect. When I started, I decided that my first probably 5 listing presentations were going to be throwaways, and because it's practice, you got to learn it, right? And I was like, for sure, I can do them in a week or I can do them in a year. I think I'd rather do them in a week and like, let's start making money, right? And just kind of started out trying to book appointments.
Look, I mean, we make about 40 I have somebody on staff that makes 40 calls a day outbound. And all they do is just, and Tyler, my air traffic controller, he'll call and just say, hey, Chris, is there anything that we can help you with? Do you need a plumber? Do you need an electrician? I can just put you in touch with somebody. It doesn't cost you anything. There's no cost for that, for that service. But now that I have you on the phone, I mean, are you thinking about investing? Are you thinking about buying? Do you know somebody that might be? Just starting the conversations, right? It's the boring stuff though. It's boring picking up the phone and calling, and then what happens is we just filter somebody who's looking and interested in maybe starting a conversation about investing. They'll have a coffee with me, and we kind of have it systematized.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's nice.
I hope I brought some value, man. I hope I brought some value to the conversation. I said I hope I brought some value to the conversation today.
Yeah, that was great. I'm so happy to have you. Like, when Luke reached out to me, I was like, "Are you sure?" Like. I'd love to have him, but no, that's great. I'm thrilled that you came, man. I really appreciate it.
For sure, man. It's I like to get on anybody else's podcast to see if I can bring any value. If there's even one little thing that you could take from this, that makes me happy, my man. And really, like, reach out any time you have questions. And look, I mean, I can't say it any more than that. I'm really wanting to bring as much value to people, right? And so just reach out, say, Jas, man, like, what did you do in this situation, or how you producing content, like, whatever it is, man, whatever it is. Politics and religion are the only 2 things I don't talk about.
Fair enough. Well, I appreciate that, man. I probably will take you up on that. Maybe once COVID season is over, when I'm headed out to the East End, we'll sit down for a lunch or something.
100%, man. Coffeewithjas.com is the best way. Just go to coffeewithjas.com.
Coffeewithjas.com.
You have a link to my calendar, set it up, and we'll make it happen.
Perfect. I'm looking forward to it. Thanks again, man. Really appreciate it.
I appreciate you, Chris. Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much.
Have a great day.
Take care. All right, buddy.